Shema Yasha Yahweh Allah Hayinawa Yahweh Achad Shema Yasha Yahweh Allah Hayinawa Yahweh Achad Shema Yasha Yahweh Allah Hayinawa Yahweh Achad. The waters of Quan. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Shalom HaHakodash. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Good Millstone who rule well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. I was a high spirit when a lawyer, and today I want to go into a topic entitled Two-Thirds of Our People Have Righteous Fatigue, or AMOS 5 and 10, which um, routes back to the scripture. They hate him, they rebuke it, then they negate. Now, especially you, Adam Anatzakba, you've done a lot of videos, countless videos, with Jake just getting in their car. It's always Jake have to get inside their car and vent about us, you know? Vent about the men of Yahweh Bahashim outside. They don't vent about Sexy Red. They don't vent about Glorilla. They don't vent about the crime in the neighborhood. Because one of the videos, Eve was like, they're terrorizing our community. So wait a minute. Niggas not terrorizing the community? Pookie, Ray, they not terrorizing the community? Those little hyenas twerking at the red lights, they're not terrorizing the community? We're terrorizing the community. Because the truth and somebody holding you to a standard is repellent to you. And have you noticed how most Israelites don't follow a belief system that has restrictions? There's no coincidence. Most Israelites don't follow a belief system, all right, that has restrictions, man. And they literally get in their car and vent about the Hebrew Israelites. First of all, you're a Hebrew Israelite. You just don't follow the standards and the law, statutes, and commandments of being a Hebrew Israelite. But now, because we're on the highways and the byways, and certain Israelite sects are invasive, all right, they are invasive, and they come into your church property, which we don't subscribe to that. All right, it is invasive, but it's not the worst thing that's happened still. That's not the worst thing that has happened to the so-called black community, man. All right, we don't subscribe to going on your church property and doing all that. That is much, but it's still not the worst thing that has happened to the so-called black community, that you have to get in your little SUV, all right, with your little crystals bag on the passenger seat and vent about us, man. Okay? But what it is, hey, what did Yahweh Shah say? If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. You see? If the world hate you, you know that it hate me before it hated you. Because we come in the spirit of Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? You must forget, and everybody was raised, all Israelites, most Israelites was raised with a Bible possession, with a Bible in their possession. And they're all familiar with the accounts of Noah. They're familiar with the account of Sodom and Gomorrah. And they all know the reaction of people, all right, when it came to righteous men. Yet they still are on the side of the people that were scoffing Noah, that was scoffing Lot, all right? They were scoffing the prophets. They were scoffing Yahushua. And to prove we're in Sodom and Gomorrah, all right, and I wasn't going live because I walked that way. Now I'm walking back from that way. Out of nowhere, a sodomite trying to talk to me, man. All right? A sodomite was trying to, and he was like a sodomite slash drug fiend slash, look like he had HIV, he had them dirty fiend hands. I'm like, bro, get the fuck away from me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like this weird old nigga, but we're in Sodom and Gomorrah. You know? Jake almost had to, get busy, but the spirit didn't allow that to happen. But just to prove, like, we're in Sodom, but you don't get in your SUV and complain about the rapid sodomite epidemic in Jake community. You don't complain about, like I said, most 18-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 25-year-olds, ultimately 8, 12, 13, 14 to 60 are whores. Because just how the new wave of 50-year-old Jakes are old YNs, they don't even act like elders no more. They don't act like, respectable, dignified older men. They on some shit that a YN is on. You know? But you don't talk about that. You don't talk about how there's no standard in the so-called black community. But when we, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Hawashai, all right, we bring out the standard, now that's a problem. All right? And even you, Alazar, all right? Which I believe you're an agent as well. All right? And also, when you are no more the red Power Ranger in Israel, now you don't want to have anything to do with Israel. When you got exposed and that bag got little, you don't want to have anything to do with Israel because you weren't the red Power Ranger. All right, some brothers don't want to be in the truth, so to speak, if they're not a leader, But the point is, all right, you hate righteous. A lot of Israelite leaders hate righteousness because you can't just teach Israel. In order to keep the people's attention span up, you gotta add that nigga shit. What were you doing talking about Crip? Anything, man. All right? A lot of these niggas don't want to leave Egypt. All right? All right, but our people, how often do you hear Eve vent about a YN? How often do you hear our people vent about the crime rate in these inner cities? This pookie epidemic in these inner cities, man. All right? How often do you hear about the crime rate in a nigga culture, man? And that's how you know Christianity ain't shit, because they all coexist. You got that Christian mama, that drug dealer son, that stud daughter. They all at the same family reunion, man. You know when you really got some type of impact when you really stop going to family functions, because you don't really make sense there. But if you really go into every function, if you really you just another character in the nigga world, You're just another personality in the nigga world, if that makes sense, man. All right? Yahweh Shah said, I came to divide the father from the son and the daughter from the mom and the son-in-law from the father. Yeah, he divided everything, man. That's the real spirit and energy of Yahweh Bahashim Hawashai. In 1 Peter's, was it 1 Peter's 4? It said how they speak evil of you because you don't partake in the same riot as they do, roughly paraphrasing, man. But how is it that you Christians can coexist with black community? How can you coexist with black culture, man? Because plantation Christianity, and I have to make that distinction because you got something called Orthodox Christianity, which that's something that really was prevalent in Europe, all right, before slavery, all right. But plantation Christianity, all right, which is something that Esau used, all right, to program your ass and make your ass docile, man, all right. That makes you coexist with black culture. So a lot of Christians, Israelite Christians, they have weight issues, they have health issues, they have mental health issues. A lot of them are single parents, all right? And sometimes you're going to have unfortunate situations where you're a single parent and it's just a genuine situation, all right? But in most cases, you're just narcissists. Just think about it. The average plantation Christian, Eve, she's guided by a voice in her ear. Can you trust anybody that alleges they have a voice guiding them? Not the book. Because when you break down the book, if you go into the book, now you got to be up under the Israelite man. When you go into the book, now you got to cover your titties up. All right? When you go into the book, now you got to shut the fuck up and let your husband speak. It's all in the same book. But the book is a standard. Even if you say, okay, we don't follow the Old Testament, we believe the Old Testament is done away with, right? Well, there's still a framework in the New Testament that really reinforces the Old Testament. That framework goes into the women. The aged women teach the young women to be discreet, chaste, keepers of the house. That's a framework. Also, it says in the scriptures that it's the Most High, His Son, the Father, the woman, the children. All right, that's structure. That's a framework that we can all open up the Word and reference that and say, okay, because of this, we have to behave like this. You Christians, you don't follow that. Your religion is westernization. Your denomination is feminism. Your religion is feminism. Your culture is black culture. All right, but you've never had your people come to your environment, or anybody for that matter, come to your environment and make you smell your own shit. You know how you have a dog and you house training it like a puppy, and he piss on the floor, then you make him smell his own piss? All right, we make you smell your own piss and you hate it. We making you smell your own piss and you hate it. And you motherfuckers are slaves. A Christian is a slave. All right, because we go into health, right? Hey, what's going on? How you doing, man? Man, I see you get it in early.
Yeah, man.
Man, I'm inspired. I'm about to get like you.
Hey, listen, bro. This thing I ever bought right here.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Hey, Mama, get at you.
All right,
All right. But, long story short, you niggas are slaves because in order to really be healthy in America, you really gotta know the white man is the devil. You really gotta know Esau's the devil. But you Christians, you eat the same food that you ate from back on the plantation. Y'all never upgraded. You know, and who don't like fried food, right? But you never upgraded, man. You cook out of the same grease, all right? You trust Esau's corporations, but we're the enemy. We're the enemy. What did Apostle Paul say? Am I therefore your enemy because I tell you the truth? Like I said, we don't subscribe to going to your neighborhoods or going to your churches. We don't subscribe to that division of Israelites who do that. We don't agree with that. But it's still not the worst thing that happened to niggas, man. You know? You just don't like somebody making you smell your own piss, man. Because your culture is trash. And you rather die slow from your culture, all right, than to have somebody rebuke you, man. And the covert thing about Christianity, and you coons won't admit to it, is that you suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome. You suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome. I remember when I was freshly into American adulthood, it's like 18, 19, 20. And I remember I was a cart pusher, bro. And there was a worker there, a lady. She was one of those denominations that always wear a dress. Nice looking young lady. Nonetheless, she was Eve. She was a sister, so to speak. She had a picture of Caesar Borgia like on her dashboard. It was a straight up so-called white man. It was a straight up, and I remember like she had it like in her dashboard. So if you walk past her car, you would see that shit. I'm like, man, that woman is fucked up. It's nothing you can tell that woman if she got Cesare Borgia on her dashboard, man. And most of our people, they suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome to where they psychologically and spiritually think that their God is a so-called white man. But they don't want to say it because it makes them sound like a what? A slave. All right? They don't want to say it. It makes them sound like a slave, man. All right? But their God is a so-called white man. And Eve is very fervent and adamant that you don't subscribe to being a leader as a so-called black man. All right? Or that she's very adamant about the Most High not being a black man, the Messiah not being a black man. But she'll have that picture of Caesar Borgia and it's a so-called white man. And she's fucked up. Eve is fucked up, man. Our people have strong delusions. They're fucked up. You got blonde hair, you got tats on you're fucked up. But nobody told you that. But now we're telling you, and hey, master, come get them. All right? And a lot of you are agents because Esau was using you as wartime propaganda to really create this narrative that the Israelites are the real problem in the black community. All right? And that's the thing. You're being used as a tool to create this propaganda that the Hebrew Israelites are the problem in the black community. That's the narrative. Because there's gonna be a blitz on the Israelites. They're going to be a blitz on the men of Yahweh B'Hashem HaMashiach. It tells you that in 2nd Ezra 16. They're going to come upon them who fear the Most High. All right? That's what the doctrine of Yahweh was about, the teachings of Yahweh, ultimately to prepare us for the hour of temptation. All right? It tells you in Revelation 12 that he's going to come upon them to keep the commandments of Yahweh B'Hashem HaMashiach. That's us. Okay? So, hey, you know, like I said, our people are repellent to righteousness. Even when it comes to hip-hop, man. Jake love that nigga shit. Jake love that nigga shit, man. But every time there's a positive rapper, Jake has like a low threshold for like conscious or reflective rap. Jake can't just listen to that like that. They'll listen to a song or two on TikTok, but they gotta go back to that nigga shit, man. That's how Jake's been programmed, man. Jake might have a little phase where he'll eat a salad 2 days in a row, but after that he got to go back to that bullshit. Like, Jake just don't like anything that's positive, man. You know, but he'll still pray to Caesar Borgia that his auntie get better, you know, and she'll pray that he don't go to prison. You praying that your son, all right, don't get that 10-year sentence, but you never had his dad in his life. You never had his father in his life. You see how that works? You praying to Caesar that your son don't get killed in the streets. Or you praying to Caesar that the police don't knock your door 1 o'clock in the morning saying we found your son. You praying to Caesar that your son don't get that 10-year sentence. But you never allowed his father in his life. You see? You see how demented that is? You praying to Caesar that he get rid of this counselor, but you can't stop eating the honey buns, man. You can't stop eating pork, catfish, shrimp. And a lot of you low vibrational Israelites, look, we all got our bullshit. You might eat some bullshit every now and then. All right? It's not necessarily healthy, but we don't do it every day. A lot of you Israelite sects, y'all don't eat pork, catfish, and shrimp, but y'all love sodas and burgers, and come on, man. Like I said, hey, we all have our indulgence, man. You know? But like all the time, you know, it's one thing to subscribe to being an Israelite and you follow the laws, but you gotta understand, we were in the Mediterranean area, man. There was no hot Cheetos or Kool-Aid in that Mediterranean region, man. Corporations didn't control your food supply. You know? Jake loved chips, but chips is basically flatbread, man. Because I love chips. I love tortilla chips. Put a little seasoning on it. I love that, man. Chips, hummus, guacamole, salsa. I love all that. I might be Issachar, man. But Jake is always a better version. I was joking. I know I'm not Issachar. But Jake is always a better version of what Jake likes. And the devil, Esau, Edom, he took your Hebrew appetite and polluted it, man. Because Jake loves your young, right? That ancient Israelite loves your young. You know? But yayan is wine, right? And wine has notes of grapes. It's grapes, right? But if you go into our culture, we made yayan out of everything. We made yayan out of pomegranates, yayan out of honey, yayan out of just different fruit because it was a way to preserve our food. You see? So you had harvest, right? But why would you waste your food because y'all don't consume everything? So what you don't waste, you preserve. That's why your grandma had preservatives. No. It's called, what do you call like jelly yams, like jelly and jam, but it's really more like a preserve. Because in a world where you're surviving off agriculture, you don't waste nothing. So we took that pomegranate and made wine. We took the grapes and made wine. We took honey and made wine. But I'm saying all that to say, there's like a grape juice, fruit juice. Now, what does Esau sell you? Grape drinks. He sold you grape drinks, grape sodas. All right? He sold you Kool-Aid. You see? You see? I know the spirit got me moving different places, but Jake love that ratchet shit, man. Jake love that low demonic shit. And they're all Christians. All right? You see? And they're all Christians, man. All right, that's part of, like, no, there's no nigga fatigue from our people. Jake got Israelite fatigue. Jake got Israelite fatigue before they got nigga fatigue. Meaning, y'all got tired of us quick as hell. We only been on the block from the YouTube era since 2007, 2008. And it really started to get that momentum. What would you say, 2015, maybe 10? But how long have y'all had drug dealers in y'all community? How long have y'all had scammers? How long have y'all had the backdoor culture? You see? But y'all got fatigue from us real quick, man. Damn, Keisha. You know? But a lot of Christians, on the contrary, a lot of Jake is they leaving the Christian church. Because the spirit, hey, the books are open and the spirit of understanding is out there now. And now, even if Jacob doesn't come to the fold of being an Israelite, he'll check out of Christianity, you know? He'll check out of Christianity. You see? He'll check out. You see? Because he know, like, man, this ain't it either. You know? This ain't it. Especially the men. And Eve, she's going on witchcraft. You know? Like, she might not believe in Caesar no more, but she don't believe in Jacob being over her either. Like, let me just go to spirit. You know? You call it light a candle, worship spirit, you know? That's what they call her, spirit. You know? Which is basically Satan. All right, but the point is, man, Jake got tired of us faster than they got tired of black culture. All we did was put our people's folly in their face. Isn't that in the scriptures? All right. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet and show my people their sins, in the house of Jacob their transgressions. Something to that effect. So what are we doing, man? But yeah, once again, that's an interesting, even like candy bars, right? Paydays, Twix, Snickers, right? Jake loved that, right? We grew up eating that. Well, most of those candy bars have something called a nugget in it. But I challenge you brothers to look up the word nugget. Look at the origins of a nugget. Because when I looked it up, it really went back to the Mediterranean. It went back to the Middle East. They made a paste out of, I want to say, almonds and eggs and maybe honey or something like that. And that was the nugget. But Esau adds what? Sugar. Processed sugar, which is a fucking drug. It's a fucking drug, man. All right? A lot of drinks and sodas that we like, right? They all go back to really the physician. That's why the drink is called Dr. Pepper. All right? Because a lot of these concoctions went back to physicians, or what they would call doctors in this world, who came up with aids for digestion. All right? I think Pepsi goes back to like the peptides in your digestive system. Root beer is actually the original root beer was actually a concoction of different herbs being brewed, of different roots, like sarsaparilla root and this root and that root. Wisdom of Solomon goes into the virtues of roots. But what did Esau do? He put depth in it, you know. Toaster pastries. The scripture speak about cakes. The scripture speak about waffles and wafers. The scripture speak about all those things, man. We have a very rich culture. So you can see a relic of our culture, a reflection of our culture. When you go to Mediterranean restaurants, you go to Elam. All right. Even fried chicken. I know Elder Yashwama brought this out years ago. How the scripture speak about the fine oil and fine flour. They cook the quail in fine oil and fine flour. All right. And like manna was a biscuit, so Jake loves that chicken and biscuits. But what did this devil do? A lot of that oil is cooking lard. All right. All right. Just processed wheat for the flours. Just all types of madness, man. Okay. But there's no outcry on that. There's no outcry on processed food. There's no outcry on just abominates in our neighborhoods and our environments. There's no outcry on YNs. There's no outcry on 304 epidemic, man. There's no outcry of a lack of a standard. But look, I'm not going to hold you, brothers, the water for tuning in. Once again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Shai, Bahashim Hakodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect, Abba Baal, Kum Yashala, Shalom.